All right, let's talk about first dates. For a lot of us, they feel like this huge, high stakes performance, right? But what if they didn't have to? We're going to break down a really simple but powerful toolkit to make your next first date way less stressful, a lot more authentic, and honestly, just more fun.
So, does this sound familiar? If you're sitting across someone new, but you're not really there, your brain is just buzzing, you're trapped in this internal monologue, second guessing every single word you say, trying to predict what they're thinking. It's totally exhausting, and it's pretty much the biggest barrier to making a real connection. And let's put a name to the enemy here. It's overthinking. It's that thing that happens when a great, funny, or interesting thought pops into your head, but instead of just saying it, you start to filter it. You analyze it, you imagine their reaction, and by the time you finally kind of mumble it out, the conversation's already 2 steps ahead. Well, today, we are going to break that cycle for good.
And it all starts with one fundamental shift. This isn't about memorizing the perfect lines or jokes. It's about changing your internal state. We have to get you out of your own head.
Just look at the 2 different worlds you can live in on a date. Over on the left, when you're in your head, you're basically a prisoner. You're filtering, you're imagining outcomes, you're always a step behind. But on the right, you're free. You're actually in the conversation. You're speaking naturally. You're just present. And that's our goal.
Being outside your head isn't some mystical Zen state of enlightenment. It's actually really simple. It's just the act of listening to what they're saying and then speaking your thoughts as they come to you, without that heavy filter. It's all about trusting that what you have to say is good enough, right here, right now.
Okay, so once you've made that mindset shift, how do you actually, build that connection, that rapport? Well, that brings us to our practical toolkit. And it all breaks down into this really simple, super effective 2-part framework. Step 1, you focus entirely on making them feel good. Step 2, and only after you've done step 1, you focus on showing your unique personality. Let's dig into part 1. This quote from Maya Angelou is everything. We get so hung up on trying to say the cleverest things, but that's not what creates a lasting impression. The goal isn't to be a world-class debater, it's to create a positive emotional experience for the person across from you. This right here is a total game changer. Stop trying to be liked. Stop trying to earn their approval. The second you shift your goal to simply making them feel good, something amazing happens. All that pressure on you just vanishes. You become a giver of good feelings, not a seeker of validation. So, how do you actually do it? It's literally this simple. When you're listening to someone, you'll naturally notice things you like about them, right? Maybe it's a passionate story they're telling, or a cool perspective they have, or just their laugh. The only trick is to take that positive thought you're keeping inside and say it out loud. That's it. Okay, so you've made them feel good. Now for part 2 of our toolkit, showing your personality. And the best shortcut to do that authentically is something we call banter. Now, let's be super clear about what banter is and what it is not. It's not about being mean. It's not about insulting someone. It's a playful, friendly exchange. Think of it like a light verbal nudge, not a punch. And this is why it is so, so powerful. You see, being endlessly polite and agreeable, it kind of keeps you at a distance. Banter is a signal. It says, hey, I feel comfortable enough around you to be playful and be my real self. I trust you to get the joke. It is a massive shortcut to building trust. But, there are a couple of ground rules. You want to tease them about low-stakes things they're proud of, like their terrible favorite sports team or their firm belief that pineapple belongs on pizza. The key, and this is crucial, is that it has to be fun for both of you. If you're laughing and they're not, you're doing it wrong. All right, now for the final piece of our strategy. You've made a great connection, but how do you make sure you actually stand out after the date is over? For that, we turn to something called the spike method. This is another one of those huge fears that lives in our heads, isn't it? What if I don't have anything interesting to say? What if I'm just boring? Well, the spike method is the perfect antidote to that fear. Here's a truth that might surprise you. That weird niche thing that you are super passionate about, whether it's competitive cheese rolling or restoring old typewriters, that is not something to hide. That's your secret weapon for being memorable. Here's how it works. The spike method is all about depth, not breadths. So instead of trying to be vaguely interesting about a bunch of things, you go deep and become really knowledgeable about one specific thing. This guarantees they have a unique hook to remember you by. You become the person who's really into urban gardening. And believe me, that's way better than being that nice but kind of forgettable person. But how you share your spike really matters. The goal here is to share your passion, not to show off how smart you are. So talk about it in a simple, accessible way. The moment you start using complex jargon to try to sound smart is the moment their eyes glaze over. Share the why behind your passion, not just the technical what. And this brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole thing. We've covered the mindset and we've covered the tools, but none of it works if you're aiming for the wrong goal. So let's redefine what success on a first date actually looks like. Just think about this for a second. What if you took all the pressure off yourself? What if getting a second date wasn't the point at all? What if your only goal was to get out of your head and have one single, authentic conversation with another human being? Because if you can do that, you've already won, no matter what happens next.